I think there are a number of challenges. I mean, first, I think is, we're about people. And, the quality of the Foreign Service is really about the quality of the people that we bring in and that we retain and train over time. I'm deeply impressed by the quality of young officers coming into the Foreign Service now. When I was Deputy Secretary, I'd speak to each of the entering classes. And I'm glad in many respects I didn't have to compete with them when I came into the Foreign Service, because in terms of their experience, their language ability, their drive, and their commitment, they're really exemplary, I think. It's a more diverse group than it was when I came into the Foreign Service, and I think that's extremely important, not only to maintain, but to strengthen, because we still have a long way to go in terms of ensuring that we have a Foreign Service that looks like American society. I've always believed that the power of our example overseas is more important than the power of our preaching. And if we want to get an audience overseas for pluralism and the significance of the rule of law and for tolerance and diversity, it helps a lot when our Foreign Service, the Americans that people in other societies see every day, embodies those kind of virtues. So that's important. Second, we have to ensure that our diplomats have the resources and the tools that they need. Not just budget resources, but the time and attention that's required to ensure that people have foreign language skills, because that's an essential element of an effective diplomacy overseas. Managing risk is another very important challenge, as we look over the next couple of decades. We're never going to eliminate physical and security risk overseas. We have to manage it as best we can, protect our people as best we can, but we have to learn to cope with those kind of risks over time. And finally, I think for the Foreign Service, like any other institution, we have to stay ahead of the curve. And we have to be able to anticipate challenges that are on the horizon and that, the United States is going to have to deal with overseas. Throughout much of my career, my colleagues and I focused on issues like energy security and nuclear nonproliferation, especially at the height of the Cold War. Those issues are still very important. But now we've got to focus on a range of other issues in addition to that: economic statecraft, the promotion of American businesses overseas, gender issues, human rights issues, which have always been important in American foreign policy, but I think are increasingly a part of our job overseas, support for civil society groups, and issues that cut across national boundaries, whether it's issues of climate change or global health challenges, water and food insecurity. So it's very important for the Foreign Service not to be a static body, but to be, developing the habit of looking over the horizon.